where you can put your profile in here if you want to. We just have a couple here, but if you want to get your business on there, then you just need to get a couple of photos together, a copy, a bit of text, send it to me or to Virgilio, and we'll get our man in Montenegro to add that to the website. So that's Algarve Business Network.com. Okay. Let's get into the hot seat. So what we do here is we bring somebody who's one of the business owners in the group to tell you a little bit about their backstory, the business they're running, and then at the end of the session we'll ask any questions or any contributions or creative comments we can make to help with the business. So this evening I'm delighted to welcome the owner of The Works, which is a print shop. We're going to hear all about that. Please welcome Dean Coleman.
Hi. 11 years I've been here now. Basically, you can hear from my accent, a little bit of South African, a little bit of Rhodesian before that, where I was born. I have two wonderful kids. My daughter's 35, my son is now 30, but I'm still back in South Africa. And 4 grandkids. Or a young grandfather, let's go there, right? Yeah. So I mean, it was a big decision to immigrate from South Africa. And we looked at this print shop place, and we looked and we looked and we looked, and we kind of thought, well, yeah, it goes back a bit, because my background basically is packaging. Started off when I was 18 years old, just leaving school before I went to the army, and I was running a little print shop. So it goes back a little bit, and it was like, oof, it was like going so far back in one's life, and one has to start all over again. We were talking earlier about really starting from scratch. And so, this is what it is currently. How it began, back in 1994, and anyone who's been here a really, really long time may in fact have known Keith Goby. He was a stalwart of the industry, and he initiated this little place called the Print Shop. Back in the day, I think it was about the only print shop in the Algarve. Certainly anyone that was related to the expat community all relied upon the print shop in one way, shape or form, because there just was nothing around to assist with the local printers. A gentleman by the name of Gil Mathen purchased the place. He ran it for about 6 years, and he just had enough. I think he just really had enough of it. And the one mainstay which we had all the way through, and he's still with us today, 30 years on, was a little guy, like very big. His name's Algarve. And Gil and I were having this one long conversation. He said, listen, I'm not really sure that I want to run a print shop. I've kind of outgrown this idea. And he said, well, Dean, I'm just going to lock the doors. And I said, but how can you just lock the doors? Just leave the business. Just walk away. How can you this guy has walked almost 19 years of his life is devoted to this business. Just give him the key. No. He said, I'm just going to sell it. We're going to flog it off. I said, you can't do that. Morally, you just can't do this. I said, all right, I'll tell you. Let me do it. And we've been here since January of 2013, and basically beginning of May, we just took the keys. And we took on the print shop. Gil gave us a total of 8 days of his life. That was my introduction to business in the Algarve. And I think anyone who's been here for any length of time will understand when I say to you how difficult it is to run a business and own a business here in the Algarve. But I had a problem. I couldn't be a print shop. It was so far-fetched for me to imagine me running a little print shop. It was too much. I was bigger than this. The second thing was, and I think anyone will understand if you've dealt with emails or you've received, or you do invoicing of any description, when I went back 10 years in the history of this company, almost 78% of the business that related to the print shop was invoices and letterheads and compliment slips, basic print. And then emails just took over, and it was virtually negligible. So when I walked into this business, and yes, we did business cards, and yes, we still did some invoices, and occasionally we did some folders, and it was just running the business left. So print in a macro form is dying on a daily basis, and I think it still will continue to be Because as we get on and the electronic era that we've come into, it's just so much easier just to send a text. I mean, I don't know when last you received a letter from a family member. It's like, who writes mail now? So the business needed to evolve. And so what we've done over the last 10, 11 years, we've needed to evolve our business into something more than what it was. I will never lose the prosperity of the print shop. I can't. She is now this year 30 years old, or young, depending on how you perceive her. So what we needed to do, we evolved her into the works, and we needed to be everything. This sort of thing I realized almost straight away was, there's just not enough of me around. There are no other print shops in this little town. There are lots and lots of Portuguese print shops, but they don't speak a lot of English, and the capabilities, although they've sometimes been in business 30, 40 years, the capability of understanding communication just doesn't seem to coincide with a lot of my local expat community. And even today, though we've built a large community of Portuguese-speaking clients, it will always be 90-95% of our expat community. What we've had to realize is that it's very difficult to just come into this country and just start a business tomorrow and just go on. So a lot of what I tend to do with my clients is like, what are you going to do? What would you like to do here? What are you going to call yourself? Some of the names that we come up with. So we ended up doing almost one-on-one marketing with a lot of my clients, and we needed to be everything to these clients. It wasn't just business cards anymore, but it was part of a package of putting the sign up, branding the car, so people would actually get to know him. And these are the things that we just evolved this, and we invested a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort back into the business over the last number of years to evolve her to a point that she is today. And the words I'm very proud of, because we literally do everything and anything related to print, packaging, electronics. We're evolving more and more and more into the LED digital white era. We needed to be everything to the market. And of course, my son back in South Africa still runs the website, but we do use a lot of local. And what I've discovered is some incredible talent that's almost untapped here, of course, because no one would meet these designers. And when you task some of the local designers, and they've just never been asked to do some of the stuff that they get on with. From my background in South Africa, I had a lot to do with big marketing firms and big advertising firms. So when you just give a little bit of direction and say, right guys, this is what we're looking for, this is the look and the feel, this is the brand manual. No one understands this brand manual concept locally, but we say, well, create a brand manual for this guy. And then we go into the different aspects of his business. And we've this is really where my background I think is probably key, is just to build businesses from scratch. And we still saw the guys falling and flailing and failing. But I'll get onto that in a second. So we're not saying we do everything. It's literally billboards, we do Queens. We had a really hard time in COVID. I mean, it drove me nuts. Talking about anyone being a workaholic, I love work. By nature, I could just stay with 24/7, that's what I do. So I'd go to work during COVID, and I'd just sit there and I'd say, what am I going to do with this? You know, watching the paint dry, I couldn't stay at home. So we got onto the home. We started doing a lot more paintings for homes, because guys were spending time at home. So we started doing pictures for the houses, and we started doing house signs, because you're spending all the time in the house. Now you look at the house, oh, where's my house sign? So you need to evolve. And I think the one thing about the Algarve, which has taught me and will continue to teach me on a regular basis, is to make it our local market. We live in a very restricted market. I mean, one needs to understand the demographics of where we are. You've only got 120,000 expats. 450,000 the whole of the Algarve. I don't know about your countries where you might have come from, but Gauteng, South Africa, some of us may remember or know, there's 20 million people living there. In the same size as the Algarve. It doesn't matter how badly you do something, you're going to make money. I have maybe 1,000 businesses across the Algarve I can deal with. And we do. We stretch from side to Vieira without even hesitation. We'll go do branding or signage in Alentejo or whatever, or we'll go all the way back to Villa Real or something and the same thing there. It was necessary to do that, but it means I'm spread really, really thin a lot of the time. And it means we're kind of really busy most of the time. But we do everything for our local markets. Going back a little bit, so what we found, and it was almost a silly thing because I watched the guys coming into the marketplace and we'd see, I said, look, you just bought a restaurant. He says, yeah, I know. I said, look, it's the same restaurant I did a year ago. Why are you changing the name? Well, my name. Why are you changing the cutlery? It's less than a year old. The menus, just stick to what works. Why are you changing everything? Because it must be my restaurant, right? And then 2 days before he opens the restaurant, the guy comes to us and says, Steve, I need some menus quickly. And I'm saying, no. So why not? I'm saying because you haven't tried the menu. You don't know what the prices should look like. Did you test your menu? Did you trial it on the local market? Are they going to enjoy this food of yours? And generally the answer is no. So what we started doing, and very much what Graham is doing here at the moment, we started some little networks. And we started that 10 years ago because we basically put a room of 50, 100 local businessmen together. Some new, some old, some literally just arrived off the boat. And they would just introduce themselves. And at least the guys were known in their businesses. And I think that's one of the most important lessons I can teach is when we got here is absolutely imperative. It's about the sense of community that we work in here. It's got to be worked on. It's hard. It's easy to sit back sometimes, go into the hills of Lule and just stay in our little hovels, and that's where we stay. But I say this to you that get involved. I've met my good friend Jim Diss, which is back there, through Rotary about 10 years ago. Rotary does incredible things for the local communities. Everyone and anyone will agree about the dog situation now. It's horrific to watch. We still foster dogs, we get these little day-old puppies and we bottle feed them and all the rest of it. But there's so many organizations to be involved in, including the church. So it's not just here, but get involved in the local community wherever you are, because what I think happens with a lot of people is they don't expand on the fact that we have an incredible, vibrant community around us. Go for it. I've just come back from Leria on the weekend. We watched a rock band of 1,000 musicians. Who knew? 1,000 band members playing on the field in the middle of Leria. The stadium was incredible. The sound was gorgeous. If you go into an F festival, hopefully next year we're going to have a white festival again. Find out what's happening in the local communities. Get involved. Do whatever you can to be part of this local community. Because there's so many things, even if you get involved with the local companies. Quite fortunately, we've been able to do a lot of work with the local companies. We get involved in a lot of the local community things. But it's those people that have become part of the community that they can call us Algarve friends. If we just reside here, we stay in the Kinton life and we live a very comfortable life, we seldom leave. It's not really our Algarve community. It's our little community, it's our little thing. But I say this to everyone, get involved. Whether it's business, whether it's social, whether it's church, that same balance that we spoke about earlier, it's absolutely imperative to get part of that community. And there's a lot of needs, which it's only when you look a little bit below the surface you realize how great that need really, really is locally. Okay. Where are we going to? I'm trying. I've got the one thing which we're very fortunate with, and the one thing I think everyone will agree with, is very, very little resources here now. And any resources you're going to find, incredibly expensive. We spend a great deal of time finding, connecting, creating, and if I had to put the words into a single word, it's passionate individuals that love what they do. And we find specialists in every one of the areas. We employ a very, very small team, but we employ incredibly talented individuals that do incredible things. One of my great friends is up north. He physically manufactures all kinds of LEDs, and we're getting ourselves more and more involved because I maintain all these terrible, as much as I I use them, I manufacture them, they are disgusting. The amount of waste that goes into a single billboard. And if you look, every time you look again, you're going to find another 10 billboards out there. It doesn't make sense. And it's such a waste. From a physical perspective, I have one LED board and I can put anything I want on it. And it's incredible. And I believe that in about 10 years' time, we're not going to see many billboards left. I think my friend Mr. Moriarty from Algarve and I would agree upon this. He hates every billboard. If he could remove every single one overnight.
Most of them just say advertise here. They haven't
They haven't got anything to go. What I would say is a final point, and I think it's important to realize, because we did so many schools, we've been very fortunate and blessed to deal with a lot of the local schools. We're involved very much with Nobel, and you saw what I put together and how Nobel put together last year in Amundsen. There's another 500 kids we put into the high school last year. This year, it's full. Algarve, I'm busy with a project which is preschool of 200 kids. Wow, we have 200 preschools, 3 to 5-year-olds. Scary because they're starting 3-year-olds on computers. There's a computer department in a 3-year-old's environment on preschools. Shocking. Okay, but the primary school going on behind it, it's at least another 500-600 kids. The high school that we're having in the next 3 to 4 years. Guys, there are so many people that we needed in this country. I'm seeing it firsthand. A lot of them do fortunately come across my doorstep from time to time because they want to start a business. They need business cards and they need this, and they're going to create logos and they're going to put their businesses on the market. But whatever you're going to do, there's a massive influx. Our Canadian friends are coming through. Our American friends are coming in their droves at the moment. And there's going to be a lot more. It's not going to stop here. Just kind of, whatever you do it well. But don't lose the community. Okay? That's me. Thanks.
So
Yeah.
is there, you're almost entirely catering to the expat community, you say, is that right?
I think about 90 to 95% of my business is expats. It used to be a lot higher. You'll forgive me, and please forgive me, but I have the greatest respect for our Portuguese market, but they don't communicate well.
Yeah.
I think the youngsters coming through are starting to evolve and trying to communicate well. My background in South Africa, from a South African perspective, and it's really important to know this, of all the nationalities, and from a South African perspective, the number one entrepreneur was a Portuguese. There's only 1.5 million of them there, but of all the communities, English, Indian, the number one earner and entrepreneur are the Portuguese market. 2 reasons. They see together like this. Pedro falls, they all lift him up. Families, community, they are all sticking together like glue. And it's such an important facet of this. Portugal, it doesn't happen this way. I don't get it. But they don't, the entrepreneurial spirit, we worked enough with the youngsters and we go through all the schools, and we get the school kids coming to learn to be a designer. Entrepreneur, no. And I'm really hoping that things will change.
What about, where do you find your clients from, the expat community? Where do you
I think we're very fortunate. We've built a bit of a reputation. My opposition, if I had to call it that, is overseas. They're going to order from Print 360, they're going to order from my German friends, fly along, we'll still send it to you overnight, and they're a bit cheaper than I am. But the difference, and I think one needs to consider, what makes you different? Why you? Our point of difference, which we pride ourselves on, is we know the local market. If you're a cheap print from America or from Germany or from England, they don't know who you're going to sell it to. I'll not only put you on the map, but I will help you find your clients too. You need to find a point of difference that will really assist you to sell your products.
I just wonder whether, one of the things that we've found coming here was navigating the bureaucracy. Just wondering whether, you say a lot of people come to you to start a business, could you offer more of a concierge, white glove type service in navigating the whole business?
I have enough people to assist you. As I said, we've got good friends in good places.
Yeah.
So come as we deal with on a regular basis. It's going to be a nightmare, guys. it's going to be a nightmare. If you try and build a house, okay, try and get an habitation license.
Yeah, but
Worse, try and get an AL license.
Someone's nightmare is your business.
Yes, the things we would get ourselves in the world. We've got people to get the D7 Street. So we know enough people. My wife spent 28 years in the Portuguese consulate, and she battles. So knowing the language as a first language, spending 28 years in the bureaucracy angle of Portugal in from South Africa, so that's where she was based. She comes in and she says, wow. I have a solution. I do have a solution. Very good friend of mine. His name is Tim Vieira. He's around at the moment. He is an entrepreneur. He's part of the whole thing. He's a very good friend of mine. Good Christian fellow as well. He's plotting to become our next president for 2026. He's an entrepreneur. I need someone like this in my business. I need someone who's prepared to fight for our rights as business owners from a governmental perspective. So there is hope. In my opinion, there's hope.
You have a lot of Western European countries, including Great Britain.
I don't want to go there. The political fronts, I think, from a global perspective, I think it's wonderful. Anything else, guys? Yes, sir.
I knew Keith Goldie very well, actually, and he was an incredibly likeable guy. I'm not suggesting you're not. But Keith would not have been exactly at the bleeding edge of technology.
Never.
But I would imagine he was extremely good at networking the local community. The problem is he would be like a guy with a warehouse full of flared jeans trying to sell to people who were wearing slim fit. So
I think he's spent more time on a golf course than he did in the shop.
he did, that's what I knew him. What's interesting to me is that you've obviously embraced technology in all its fullness, and that you've still got to have that personal relationship networking element that goes with much more advanced technological advances for people than was back in his day. And I think when I think about new businesses, I think where Graham's going down that line, most people who start a business, first of all, are terrible at choosing a name for that business. And secondly, are terrible at providing images and marketing for that business. I mean, shockingly bad. And I think that strikes me as a really good niche opportunity for you, because if you can network enough new businesses to help them. My son started a business 3 years ago in the event market in the UK, and he was going to call it some ridiculous name. And I said, please, they're buying you and they're buying your partner. So why don't you just use your names? Because that's who you're buying in the end. You're not buying some fancy name like Lightning Enterprises. You're buying. And secondly, the logo they chose was also shockingly bad. So that seems to me an area, and that's more and more people you say are decamping over here. That seems to be a really good area for a lot of opportunity for me.
Having said that, what's astounding me at the moment, and I think it's again technology and coming in, every person coming through my doorstep is a camera expert.
Yeah.
They have no idea. The idea of spatial recognition. Little do they realize that every size on a Canva is an American size. So they come with these ridiculous business cards that all look American. I'm saying, it's not European. He said, well, we don't understand. I said, well, I need bleed. Or else I'm going to give you white edges. I can't print this stuff. And I said, well, no, what do you want us to do? But you want our design. So it's an incredible market at the moment. It is changing all the time. And I think as technology grows and as AI grows, I think it will get better. I think it will get better. What I would say to you, and it's interesting, I can send any of you a million texts and say, thank you so much all the time. You're amazing, you're wonderful. Graham, you're a great guy. Thank you for putting on this great show. But I go home and I get a little note, and I say, thank you, and I leave it on my desk. Or I actually mail it to you. We've got kids coming through now with asking for personalization. 19-year-olds asking for personalization. For that very reason, I think people lost their personal touch.
Yeah,
and the world we're going into right now is losing it more and more and more.
Yeah, and you made the point about when was the last time you got a lesson. It's a fair point. But what we get, a lot of people stay in our house, we get cards, really nice cards, where they've written a lot in it, and it means so much more. And I think there will be a move around for people who actually of saying enough of text, enough of email. When you get something like that, it's special. And there's a market there for something that's personalised on one side with pictures and has got writing on the other side.
We try to accommodate that as best we can. You know, it's a constant. It's not about it. It's about that personal note of saying, listen, great job, thank you. And I think it's important to sometimes realize we can send 1,000 texts, 1,000 emails, it's all going to look the same, it's all going to be amazing. One little note. And it means the world to the individual. Tell me.
But I think what makes the difference is the added value that you give to your customers. Because it's true that with those technology and with the AI, we do everything. You can do by your own, you print your invoices, you can do everything. But that's the difference is the fact that you have a relationship with the clients and you perceive them how they are. So you treat them especially, and this treatments, you can give them something, an added value. It's the main, I think it's the main, if you want to, if you want to be different than your other competitor, it is the main thing. Because when you add this value, human value, as we are now fighting with the new technology, that will be the difference, definitely.
Well, I think it's a challenge for all of us in business.
Definitely.
And in our personal lives, in terms of why you. Why should a client go to you? What makes you so special? And you need to answer that for yourself to say, listen, I offer the following value. This is what makes me valuable. In terms of what I can add to your life, what I can add to your business, what I can do. And if you can answer that, that's probably a good way to start. I mean, for instance, we deal with all the real estate. How many real estates can be in one country, right? In just one little part of Seal.
Yeah.
And it intrigues me to watch all of them trying to sell the same product. Exactly the same. And it's a simple reality. Sorry.
Can I ask you something? So from a client's perspective,
Yes.
when I want something to be printed for my company, and it's some kind of advertisement or things we have to print. And what I'm struggling with is normally either I go to a designer and the designer designs something, but it's not printed. It's not on a physical
Unfortunately,
product.
it's
just on the screen. So
Pretty
then I
pictures.
go to the printer, and the printer tells me, well, it's not performant, or it will look like this, we can choose the paper and this and that. But basically, what I'm always struggling with is that nobody really takes it by the hand. The printers have no designers. So the easiest would be to have a designer, and not a freelancer who changes all the time, but a designer where you can go to and they sit with you and they go from A to Z. But is that,
I have an in-house designer. His function in my life, which is even more important than the creation, is pre-press. His most important job is what you see on that computer screen to reproduce it a million times over behind it. But it's getting on now, so David's 74. But incredible designer in his own words. So it's important, I think, to try and find that. It is difficult. I know most of my competitors, most of my colleagues in the industry don't have in-house design. I think it's important.
is it a local designer or is it somebody sitting somewhere?
But he's in my shop.
Behind the shop, or
Sorry, David sits with us. And then he controls it. But his function in my job, in my world, is pre-press. Because what we decide it looks like over here on the screen must be able to be reproduced from the bottom line with the right colors. Because these are the things I'm antsy about. So I'm trying to get those colors.
Okay, final question. What's the kind of exit plan or strategy? Is there an exit plan or strategy, or are you going to be doing this in 10, 20 years' time?
Can't. I'll drive myself nuts. I mean, to find, if I put all my business owners into one single room, the one thing we would all agree upon very simply is trying to find staff.
Oh, yeah.
It is impossible. I'm sorry, guys. To find people to actually work and then where they're going to stay. Okay? People are overcoming this, and I'm trying to entice a whole bunch of people to create these little places where you can house all these wonderful people and bring them in and We had nature, it was amazing, but I had no place for him. I couldn't house the guy. As much as he was incredible in terms of design, I loved his personality, we just couldn't work. No, I can't be climbing billboards. Very smart. I have a bunch of guys I work with, but when I'm up at the top of those billboards, no, it's not me. Very different from a three-piece suit in the boardrooms I used to sit frequent a few years ago.
So have you got a time scale in mind for when you do
No, I haven't thought that far. My lovely wife would say, in the next 5 to 10 years, listen. But as long as I can, we serve. And I think that's the most important thing is one's attitude of saying, we serve our community.
Yes.
And it's about that for me. It is my giving back to the community we live in, whether it's the community stuff we deal with, it's amazing.
We'll be coming to get some printing done with you later this week, I believe. So,
So,
Dean, thank you very much.
all right.
Okay, thank you. A couple of little reminders. We haven't